What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some entertaining battles in the Open Ultra League submitted to the channel by Maverick19879, who's running a shiny XL Ribombee, which is a pretty cool flex. Initially they submitted some battles with Registeel and Skeledirge, but you guys know I'm not a fan of sandwiching a spice pick between two very strong meta monsters, so I asked if they could make any adjustments, and this trainer was more than happy to switch up the team. They substituted Decidueye in for Reggie, and obviously this team makes less sense in terms of the coverage, but in my opinion is now a lot more watchable for us spice fanatics. So with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What is your favourite shiny to flex in the Go Battle League? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle and the Dream Lead for Skeledirge. The opponent's going to say swap into a Shadow Gliscor, and unfortunately, we do not have a response. We're actually going to come in with our Decidueye. Going to tank the move. It's an Aerial Ace, does more damage than the Night Slash, but we do at least make it to a Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant coming through, goes unshielded. The opponent will be able to wing attack farm us down, which is unfortunate, but we're going to come in with the Ribombee and get the full Fairy Wind farm down. Now the opponent comes back in with the Abomasnow, probably just going to fully sacrifice it, knowing it has no play up against the Skeledirge, but Bug Buzz one-shots the Abomasnow, and the opponent's got a Jellicent in the back, so this is still looking a little bit tricky for us. Jellicent typically going to do slightly better up against the Skeledirge, but we're going to go for a Dazzling Gleam. It connects, it does huge damage. The opponent has to throw a charge move to get rid of us. We're happy to let it go down. The opponent only goes for a Surf there. We can actually make it to a Bug Buzz. This will be grabbing a shield from the opponent, otherwise it will get them very low, and now we can just come in with the Skeledirge, and we should be looking fine here. The opponent is going to throw their charge move. We can just safely shield this up. They go for the Surf. Of course, Surf not going to do as much damage as a Shadow Ball, but the opponent throws that really bad timing there, allowing us to make it to the back-to-back Disarming Voices. So we can throw the first one here. This is certainly range for Disarming Voice to KO. This should be grabbing the final shield, and now we can just go for either Disarming Voice or a Shadow Ball. Doesn't really matter. And Disarming Voice takes out the Jellicent, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we can see Skeledirge into a Shadow Dragonite. So this isn't that bad of a matchup, but of course we do have Ribombee, which is going to wall the typical moveset from Shadow Dragonite. But if they are running something like a Hurricane, that would be pretty crazy. But here we're going to shield the first charge move. The opponent doesn't throw at the best timing once again, and they try to make the catch there onto Registeel. Quite a smart play, but we can actually just stay in with the Skeledirge. We've got such a huge energy advantage here. We can fire off back-to-back Shadow Balls. Unfortunately, this won't quite put them into full farm down range before they make it to a charge move. But I think we might be happy to go down both shields here, but just because, of course, we're going to come out of this matchup with a ton of energy. They don't even get the debuff either, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent's going to wait out their switch lock here, as they are switch locked, and they come in with a Tentacruel. Now, Tentacruel, very bad for a Ribombee, so it's really good that we did fight for switch advantage here. We go for the Shadow Ball. The opponent uses their shield. Going to go for another Shadow Ball here. The opponent will have to fire off a charge move to get rid of us here. I don't think they can Poison Jab farm us down. They swap back into the Shadow Dragonite, and this should be game over unless they are running Hurricane, which I mentioned before. The opponent going to fire off the charge move. It's just a superpower. That is also double resisted, so doesn't really make sense to throw, because now it's an easier farm down. I guess we get less energy, so maybe that makes sense there. But either way, we can come out with a ton of energy, go for a Bug Buzz here. Bug Buzz is resisted. It's not going to do that much damage, but it does grab the final shield, and we get the defense drop, and that just is the final nail in the coffin for this opponent, as we can come in with our Decidueye, and as long as they're not running Blizzard, or as long as they don't make it to a Blizzard, I think we should be pretty fine here, and the opponent is just going to concede the match. So going into the next battle, we're going to see Skeledirge into a Shadow Swampert. This is awful for us, but it's going to be very interesting to see if we say swap into Ribombee. Yeah, I was going to say Ribombee is not safe in this meta whatsoever. We've got Pokemon like Skeledirge or Tentacruel that are absolutely going to wall it. Once again, we do get a defense drop with the Bug Buzz, but it's just not going to make a difference. They can go for a full Poison Jab farm down, and that energy is going to be really strong up against our team as well. So really not looking good here. We probably just let this move go through the first move anyways. The opponent goes for Skull. That does over half our health. They get the attack drop as well, so I don't think we're even going to be able to fully Incinerate farm them down either. But let's see, it will be close. Can we get the farm down? Yes, we are just barely able to do so. We're going to go and fire off the Shadow Ball straight away. We are debuffed, but might grab a shield here. The opponent does respect the damage, and we are going to swap bank the Disarming Voice. Come in with Decidueye. We cannot afford to shield this. We don't know what's in the back, but it is just a Hydro Cannon. Doesn't do too much damage, and they've got Ampharos in the back, so if a Frenzy Plant and the Leafage damage puts them into farm down range, we could be looking good here, but unfortunately, I just don't think that's quite enough damage there. We are going to have to expect the damage from a Brutal Swing, which we do, but we end up throwing on alignment. Not great, but honestly, it doesn't make a difference here. The opponent was always going to make it to a second Brutal Swing. And yeah, unfortunately, this looks like game over. Brutal Swing will be taking us out. We come in with the Skeledirge. They get the full Volt Switch farm down, and I think the Swampert had a Charge Move loaded anyway, so it doesn't really matter there. But into the next game, another Shadow Dragonite in the lead, so we're going to stay in this lead matchup here. The opponent is going to go and throw on the potential CMP tie. We're smart, we don't throw there, so now we get a full Incinerate in for free, but then the opponent makes a brilliant catch to make up for the poor play initially, catching a resisted Disarming Voice onto their Tentacruel. Not ideal. We're going to bank even more energy, come in with our Decidueye. And personally, I think we probably should have gone for a Shadow Ball first, just because, yeah, when they get the School debuff, unfortunately, Frenzy Plant will not be enough damage to KO. I think the opponent will be able to flip Switch advantage if they really want to, but here, we are going to let the next move go through. Scald is not going to take us out, and we do make it to the Frenzy Plant, so that's actually a huge call for us, especially since the opponent does allow us to maintain alignment. Absolutely huge. Now we can come in with our Ribombee once again, just fully wall the Shadow Dragonite. I'm gonna let this move go through. It should be a double resisted superpower. Again, I'm not sure why they're going for the superpower there, but we're gonna go for a Bug Buzz. The opponent's still got 2 shields in play, and we have seen a few defense drops so far, and we get another one, so that's pretty crazy luck for us. I actually don't know what the odds are. It's probably like a 1 in 10 chance, so that's insane odds from the Bug Buzz so far. This time we're gonna commit to the Dazzling Gleam, and this should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. If not, it's gonna deal huge damage to the Tapu Fini, forcing the opponent to throw their energy as well. So the opponent goes for the Surf, taking us out. We can go for the Incinerate farm down, and we come out with 2 Charge Moves loaded. The Shadow Dragonite doesn't have a Charge Move loaded either, so Disarming Voice number 1 grabs the shield. The second one will be enough damage from this range to very easily take out the Shadow Dragonite, and we're able to take that game. So going into next battle, we see Skeledirge into a Shadow Poliwrath. Now, a bit of an awkward matchup for us. I mean, pretty awkward for the opponent as well. We do have Disarming Voice, and we do just barely pace them to the Disarming Voice 1 turn before they make it to a Scald. So we grab an early shield there. Are we going to call a bait? I don't think it's worth calling the bait there. The opponent does bait, but, I mean, they could get the attack drop with the Scald as well. So we're now going to go for Disarming Voice number 2. They should live this now, but they're going to double shield, hoping to possibly get another debuff with our attack before they end up having to tank a move, and they do go straight Icy Wind here. So unfortunately, this Disarming Voice really isn't going to do that much damage in this matchup here. We should try and make a catch there, but it's always very difficult to make a catch with Incinerate because they can very easily just go for 2 counters and then throw. We're going to come in with our Ribombee here, hopefully get a huge farm down, and we do get the perfect farm down just before they make it to an Icy Wind. But unfortunately, the opponent has a Skeledirge in the back. So honestly, I don't really think we should have stayed in with our Skeledirge. We did have 2 better answers to the Poliwrath in the lead. We get fully Incinerate farm down. And also, our Decidueye isn't running Spirit Shackle or any type of Ghost move. So unfortunately, Shadow Ball easily one-shots us, and we do lose that game. But into the next game, we're going to see a Shadow Charizard in the lead now. This is awful for our backline, so we definitely need to win this matchup if we can. We are going to shield the first Charge Move. They full send a Blast Burn, and whilst that is resisted damage, it does do significantly more than a neutral Dragon Claw. So good shield usage. We also get a bait with the Disarming Voice. And at this point, are we going to double shield our Skeledirge again? No, we're not. And it's just a Dragon Claw this time. Huge call. We're going to fire off the Shadow Ball straight away. And Shadow Ball will be taking out the Shadow Charizard. They come in with a Golisopod. And we're actually going to stay in here. We should just barely make it to a Charge Move. We fire off Disarming Voice. Could have thrown the Shadow Ball, but probably going to grab a shield anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Obviously, if you don't quite know how the energy works with the Skeledirge, you play it safe, just go for the cheaper energy move there. But here we're going to see the opponent goes for an Aerial Ace. Unfortunately, because Golisopod in the Ultra League is going to be running Aerial Ace, so it would hit for super effective damage up against both our Pokemon in the back. We're going to shield this up. Bug Buzz honestly going to do a lot of damage in this matchup here. The opponent is going to be one-shot by the Bug Buzz, and luckily for us, we have a Decidueye with Brave Bird for this Virizion. We can easily tank whatever they throw here. The opponent goes for a Stone Edge. That is neutral damage. It does get us into the yellow health, but it doesn't matter. Brave Bird is absolutely going to one-shot the Virizion, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see Giratina in the lead, so this is a bit of an awkward matchup for us, and the opponent is running Dragon Breath as well, so going to be slightly slower to pace to the charge moves. The opponent swaps there, trying to catch the Shadow Ball onto their normal type Porygon 2, but luckily for us, we do go for a Disarming Voice bait, so that actually works in our favour. We can go for a second one here. Disarming Voice is going to get them very low, and then we swap into Decidueye. Just assuming they're not running Blizzard. I actually get confused because Porygon 2 and Porygon Z don't actually learn all of the same moves. I think Porygon Z has like Solar Beam, Blizzard, and Zap Cannon. Porygon 2 doesn't have one of them, but I can't remember which one it is. Maybe it is the Blizzard. I can't remember. But here we're going to go straight for a Brave Bird into the Talonflame. The opponent lets that go through, and we're going to come in with our Skeledirge here. We're going to have to shield this up, of course. Ribombee wants absolutely nothing to do with the Talonflame in the back. They're going to come in with the Giratina. We kind of just have to let this move go through here, as the opponent goes for a Dragon Claw. We're now going to swap into our Ribombee here, and hopefully the opponent isn't running Ancient Power, but they are running Dragon Breath, so the opponent is going to go for the Ancient Power. That is super effective. We're going to go straight for the Dazzling Gleam, throwing just before they make it to the next charge move. Dazzling Gleam is going to be taking out the Giratina. They still got both shields though, and they get a full Incinerate farm down. So our only win condition here is not throwing a charge move whatsoever, and we are playing to that win condition. Can we get the Incinerate farm down in time? Yes, we are barely able to do so, and we take that game. So really good recognition of our win condition there. Into next game, amazing lead for us. The opponent going to save swap into Poliwrath. We can respond with Decidueye, and we can actually tank an Icy Wind here, so we're going to let the first one go through. They are running counter as the fast move, so it's double resisted, so it's still a pretty comfortable matchup, even when they do debuff our attack, because Frenzy Plant easily takes out the Poliwrath, although unfortunately, we've got quite a lot of health remaining. The opponent can come back in with their Alolan Sandslash and get an absolutely huge farm down, but I like this play, going for the Brave Bird. This is going to triple debuff our defense, making sure they get as little farm as possible, but they have got quite a lot of energy here, so we're going to use our first shield, shielding up the drill run from the opponent, and the opponent's going to stay in here, going to bank some energy, swap into a Greninja, and we're going to go for Disarming Voice, as this does hit for super effective damage. We grab the first shield, we can make it to a second Disarming Voice before the opponent throws any of their energy, and this will be grabbing the final shield. Now we can swap into Ribombee, and this is still going to be difficult, but we're going to call a bait here. The opponent does bait with the Night Slash, huge call for us, and we are going to call a second bait, but it is the Hydro Cannon, and that puts us into perfect farm down range. I think that is game over. I think Alolan Sandslash has a charge move loaded, so they're probably just going to swap out straight away. Yep, throw the charge move. If this is the drill run, it will be taking us out. And unfortunately it is, so we do go down there despite having a pretty strong team up against theirs. But into next game we see a Gliscor in the lead, so a bit of a tricky Pokemon to deal with here. But if they are running Night Slash and Earthquake, Ribombee does resist both those charge moves, so we might try and make a catch later in this battle. They go for the Night Slash there. We're going to go for one extra Incinerate, and unfortunately, because of the pacing of Incinerates, or the timing of it, we actually end up letting the opponent get to 2 charge moves before we can even throw any energy. But here we go for the Disarming Voice, grab a shield. We're then able to somehow swap and catch the move there. I don't know how we made that catch because, yeah, just it doesn't make sense in terms of the timing from the opponent, but really nice catch there, catching the Night Slash. Now the opponent is running Aerial Ace, unfortunately, which means they do make it to the charge move, dealing super effective damage as well. But Bug Buzz also does big damage, and it's a simultaneous KO. So at this point, we're going to come in with our Skeledirge once again, go for the Disarming Voice, and then possibly just stay in, go for another Disarming Voice here, as we will make it in time. The opponent does tank that fairly well, though. This isn't a Shadow Poliwrath. Disarming Voice number 2 goes unshielded, so we swap into our Decidueye. We can let this go through. We don't know what's in the back yet, so we are actually going to shield the Icy Wind, and the opponent's got a Greninja in the back, so this is quite unfortunate for us. They will be able to very easily outpace us to the charge moves. We do grab the shield here, but the opponent can farm 2 back-to-back Night Slashes and fire them off before we get to another Frenzy Plant. First one coming through, does big damage. They can already fire off a second Night Slash here, and they should also be able to outpace us to the next charge move here up against the Skeledirge. But for whatever reason, the opponent doesn't throw the energy. I am so confused about this play. And Disarming Voice takes that Greninja, and somehow we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see Annihilate in the lead, so pretty good lead matchup for us. We are going to be double resisting the counter damage. The opponent's going to safe swap into Greedent, and unfortunately, we don't have a super strong response here, so what we're going to do is just let the first move go through. It is a crunch, but I mean, Shadow Ball is going to do a lot more damage from the Annihilate, so makes sense to no-shield that. We're now going to go for a Disarming Voice. It gets them fairly low. We're now going to try and swap and catch the move, but like I said, Incinerate, very difficult to make a catch because they're just going to go for 2 mud shots each time, and then throw. So unfortunate for us, but now we can come in with our Ribombee here. The opponent going to fire off a Body Slam. That does some decent damage there, but we can live the next one. We know the other charge move is Crunch, so they're not going to fire that. And now we can overfarm, but no, we're actually just going to go straight for the Bug Buzz here. Bug Buzz will be enough damage to KO the Greedent. Do they come in with the Annihilate here? They actually do. We are double resisting the counter damage on our Bug/Fairy type Pokemon. So they're going to throw a charge move here. They don't want to have to shield a Dazzling Gleam. So that does make an awful lot of sense. We're now going to come back in with our Skeledirge. Unfortunately, Incinerate up against a Volt Switch user. Very difficult to time our charge moves. We go straight for the Shadow Ball. Now we swap into our Decidueye. We can tank 1 Brutal Swing, so we're actually going to shield the first one though. We're now going to go for a Frenzy Plant on the CMP tie. Decidueye winning CMP up against the Shadow Ampharos. Frenzy Plant takes them out. And at this point, we should be able to make it to a charge move here. We're actually going to full send the Brave Bird, and we end up throwing on the CMP tie as well, which is best case scenario for us. Grabbing the final shield, and now we should have enough health on our Skeledirge and enough energy to make it to a Shadow Ball up against this Annihilate. And one more Incinerate, and we get there in time, and this is certainly going to be enough damage to take out the Annihilate, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.